With your latest Ask Ira Miami Heat mailbag, I'm Ira Winderman from Sentinel.com. Our first question today comes from Daniel in Miami, who asks, why did Pat Riley build such a young core for the coming season? Couldn't we have signed more veterans to this year's roster? I understand if Pat Riley is trying to find players that can develop, but couldn't he have found some balance? Daniel, I actually think that Pat Riley went in the right direction for the most part when he stressed the development program this coming season. I don't think that players such as Lance Stevenson or Ty Lawson would have made a big difference overall if they would have been added instead. Instead, to me, it's about the young players. It's about seeing as much as possible from players like Hassan Whiteside and Josh Richardson and Tyler Johnson and even Justice Winslow and players like Briante Weber and who knows, maybe even Rodney McGruder. To me, this season is all about the youth and the youthful possibilities. I don't think another veteran or two would have made a great difference overall, but I think developing young players could make a huge difference down the road. Our second question comes from Matt, and it's a long one. He asks, Heat management moved to what appeared to be breakneck speed in putting together its roster for the upcoming season, once it was determined that Dwayne Wade was not coming back. You have to wonder why he signed players who were so one-dimensional, and even the shooters in that case, and why he overpaid for some. He points out Wayne Ellington is a one-dimensional three-point shooter. James Johnson is a good defender but lacking offensively. Derek Williams having trouble with his shot and being an athlete, and mostly even someone like Luke Babbitt, again, being one-dimensional and a shooter. I'll say this about all the signings. I have as many questions as you do, Matt, and I don't really understand why the Heat elected to go out and make these kind of moves, even for someone like a Wayne Ellington, instead of sitting back and seeing if another team had someone to trade with the value and the money they had left over, instead moving forward for the likes of a James Johnson. I do agree with one thing. I do agree that all these players are runners, the veterans, and that should help Goran Dragic, which should be a priority for this team. So I could see the moves, at least when it comes to that facet. Personally, I would have held back a little, seen if a player became available in a trade for all the cap cash that was used. But again, if even one of these players emerges as a major role player, then the gambles will have proven worthwhile. And our last question today comes from Joel, who says, do you see any chance the Heat and Kings would agree to a Hassan Whiteside DeMarcus Cousins trade? Well, as you pointed out in your question also, such a trade with Hassan couldn't be made till December 15th. I'm not sure the Heat are moving in that direction. I do believe this, though. I do believe the Olympics could have a big impact on DeMarcus Cousins' future. If the Kings see that it's the setting and not the player, and if Cousins goes out and has a big Olympics, then I think the Kings try to handle everything from within. If, however, they see that Cousins struggles even under Mike Krzyzewski, then I can see the Kings saying this is a problem we can't solve, and maybe moving on. In the end, if Cousins is eliminated from NBA trade discussions, blame it on Rio. Those are today's 3 questions. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 more. For Sentinel.com, I'm Ira Winderman.